2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 8.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Luke, and I'm so excited for you to join us here tonight for our first sermon short. Basically, this will be just some short series that we throw up here on nights that we don't have HSM, and they'll just be a little encouragement for you as you go throughout your week. So tonight we're going to be in the book of James, continuing what we've been talking about here at HSM. And before I jump into the scripture, I just want you to know James starts off by saying, you guys plan to do this and that. Right? He actually talks about like wealth and material things and plans for the future. So that would kind of be like for you guys today, for us today, like, all right, I'm planning to go to this school, I'm planning to have this job, I'm planning to make this amount of money, I'm planning to have this kind of family. All about the future, right? All our plans talking about the future. And then he says this in verses 14 through 17. Follow along with me here on the screen. It says, why? You don't even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and that vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them. So James starts off with a really important question, right? He starts questioning us. He says, why? Why do you do these things when you know you're not even promised tomorrow? And then he says, what is your life? I think it's a challenging question. I think a lot of us would struggle to answer that. But then James tells us your life is like a mist or a vapor. What do we know about a mist or a vapor? I think to like cleaning, right? Having a spray bottle, you spray the cleaner out and you see it go out in the air. And then before long, it disappears and it's gone. And this is exactly what James is saying about our life, that for a while, just a little while, we're here on earth. But then eventually our life will be gone. It's a mist. So James is telling us we got to make it count. Tomorrow is not promised. And then he says, you know, all these schemes that you have about the money you'll make, the places you'll live, the colleges you'll go to, although I'd say these things are important and we definitely have a due diligence, he's talking about just all this accumulation, the planning to have all these things. James says these things are evil. And that instead of focusing so much on the future, we should focus on the now. And I think we miss that a lot today. But then James goes on to say this in verse 17. He says, if anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them. It makes me want to ask you guys a question. If you knew today was your last day, right? You knew your time was ticking. You had 24 hours left. How would you choose to spend that time? I think most of us wouldn't answer, well, I'm going to be spending that time getting my GPA up, worrying about the colleges I'm going to go to, practicing for basketball so I make sure I start next week. I think a lot of us would focus on the relationships that we have. I want to go spend time with my grandparents, or I want to go spend time with my parents or my siblings. I think a lot of us would say, oh, I want to go spend time with my friends. Like, I want to spend these final moments with these people that I love. Or maybe you would even want to correct some wrongs that you've done in your life. But regardless of what it is, none of us are going to choose to focus on the future. We're all going to choose to focus on the now. That's because in that moment, you know you don't have tomorrow. And what James is saying is that we're not promised tomorrow. And then I love what he says in verse 17, that if we know what we ought to do and we don't do it, then for us it's sin. So I just want to leave you guys with a challenge this week, that if there's something in your life that you know that you should do that is good or that would correct your wrongs, do it this week. Whether it's mending a relationship with one of your friends or your parents or your siblings, or it's just helping out somebody that you know is in need. Reach out to those people this week and make those wrongs right. So glad you guys could join us for our first sermon short. My name is Luke. I'm so glad you could be here. We'll see you next Sunday. Peace.